I think that still the European policy towards migration is wrong. The migration pact, which is now being implemented or is going to be implemented over the next months and quarters, I think is the way to nowhere. I have a kind of déjà vu because in 2018 and 2019, I was able to block the migration pact, which was adopted after Willkommenskultur introduced by Angela Merkel in 2015. And this was the first huge wave of migration, if you recall. And what we were able to do was that, together with the Prime Minister of the Czech Republic and Prime Minister of Hungary, to make any decision on migration policy unanimous, and we have decided that there is no compulsory forced migration distribution amongst the member states. And this state of the play actually lasted for the next 5 years until the end of 2023. And immediately after the change of the government in Poland, the new government de facto agreed to the change in the migration policy. A new migration pact was proposed, and they have not done the same what I've done. This is why I urge Prime Minister Tusk, my successor in the government, to do the same, exactly the same what I've done in 2018. June conclusions from the European Council confirmed this, what I'm saying. It's an easy paragraph to repeat and to introduce to the European Council conclusions, and that's what should be done about the migration pact today. In the general terms, we cannot agree on migration from Africa, which is 1.4 billion people, and from the Middle East. We have to be able to defend our borders. That's the basic feature of any sovereign state, by the way. And I believe that Poland and Italy and Croatia, all our countries have to stay sovereign, and we have to cooperate, in particular in the field of the economy, on the level of the European Union. But the migration policy is a clear competency of each and every member state. There are 4 different categories of migration, in particular in the context of Poland, and I tell you why. We have real refugees, like from Ukraine, and for those we have opened our borders, we have opened our homes, our hearts. We've given them access to our healthcare system, to our educational system, to our social security system, because in particular they were women with children, and their husbands and brothers were fighting with the Russians after the attack of Putin on Ukraine. So this was the first group. The second group was a weaponized illegal migration, which was and is being pushed through our Belarusian-Polish border, and is being organized by Lukashenko and by Putin. And based on their assumptions, they were going to undermine the eastern flank of NATO, eastern border of Poland, and they wanted to ridicule all of us, in particular my government, presenting the border as really a very soft spot, weak point in our system. The third kind of migration is the one which we nurture and which we want a lot. These are 2 million Poles which left Poland after 2004, and we've adopted special policies to bring them back to Poland, and we were very successful with it, because some 300 to 400,000 Poles who migrated came back to Poland during my term. And the fourth category is legal migration, is working migrants. We are giving migration visas and labor permission for 3 months, for 6 months, they come to Poland and they go back to their country. This is usually the case. So there is a mix of the definitions in terms of migration, but the most important is to differentiate between the real refugees, like what we've encountered in Ukraine, and we've then opened our borders, and artificial illegal migration prepared by Lukashenko and Putin to destroy peace and to undermine the security of Poland and Germany and other countries. And my government was able to defend against this artificial migration because we have very quickly built a physical barrier at our Polish-Belarusian border, 5 meter or 5.5 meter tall. And this is proven to be effective. How I look at the European Union today is that the European Union tries to be a super state, a centralized institution ordering member states what they have to do. By the way, I would like to emphasize the next attempt to federalize European Union, to centralize European Union by the new recommendations presented by the European Commission about the cohesion policy. They want to make the cohesion policy money dependent on decisions from the European Commission and from Brussels. This is absolutely unacceptable for my political camp, and we will be fighting with this further centralization because this is taking away yet another sovereign rights from the member states. My general recommendation and recipe for a successful European Union is to make a step back from this way to nowhere, which is ideology all around us in Brussels, and to make a step back towards the European Economic Community. The European Union was created in 1992, and before that we used to have a European Economic Community, and this was working very well. This is the major challenge, by the way, ahead of all of us in Europe, to increase the competitiveness about the European Union. This was what the Draghi's report was about, and I fully subscribe, I fully agree with the major premises of his paper. By the way, I made a very similar statement in Politico, very similar. I've written a paper in Politico in June saying about how to prioritize those major challenges which are around us. I have formed this in the context of so-called impossible trinity, where you can only cater for 2 out of 3 major policies: climate policy, defense policy, and welfare state. You cannot have 3 at once. You can only decide for 2 out of 3. And basically what Mario Draghi presented in his paper was a very similar approach to what I have presented several months before in Politico. And that's the case. We have to improve our competitiveness through investing in innovation. We have to maintain the social contract with the nations of the European Union member states, but at the same time we have to cater for defense, to increase expenditures on defense, given the threats from Russia, cyber attacks, the world of Islam, and some other threats looming on the horizon. And this is why I believe that we have to persuade and we have to convince the European Commission to change their approach towards different policies and away from centralization and more sovereignty in the hands of the sovereign states, member states of the European Union.
Great.
The current government has decided to de facto agree on migration pact. I urged Donald Tusk to use the same paragraph which I used in 2018 and 2019 to work out a solution back then, which was working for several years. Not until the end of my government, December 2023, the European Commission was able to push through the new version of the Migration Pact. Now, with the new Polish government, which is de facto agreeing with this Migration Pact, they are doing this. And this is why I urge the current Polish government to resist to the new plans presented by the European Commission.